நார்மலைசேஷன் சீரீஸ்ல இப்போ நாங்கள் வந்து முக்கியமான ஒரு இடத்துக்கு வந்திருக்கோம். ஏன்னா நம்ம வந்து இன்ஃபார்மல் கைட்லைன்ஸ் பார்த்துட்டு இருந்தோம். We were looking at informal guidelines. So in informal guidelines, we have come to the final and fourth guideline, the lossless joint condition, satisfying lossless joint condition. So yeah, welcome back to PPV, and let's just dive right in. Guideline 4, lossless joint condition. Okay, so directa before we go into lossless joint condition and guideline 4, you have to know what spurious tuples are. Okay, spurious tuples. Spurious tuples. Well, in relational algebra, we studied about cross product and the compound operation, natural join, and we learnt about theta join. We learnt about joins that depend on cross product. Okay, so during joining of relations, okay, during joining of relations, if some invalid rows are created, invalid tuples are created. Okay, if some invalid tuples are created that were not part of the original relation. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is we have relation R. We will be dividing it into or decomposing it into different relations, small simple relations, R1, R2, R3 maybe. Yeah, and when we join this back together, okay, why do we decompose this? To reduce anomalies. I mean, to eliminate anomalies, eliminate anomalies, to eliminate anomalies, and also to reduce redundancy. Reduce redundancy. This is why we normally decompose. And after decomposition, if we bring back all these together by joining, okay, joining, normally we do natural join. Okay, we do natural join. So, okay, so by natural join, if it is not equals to R, okay, if we have any new rows generated, okay, if we have any new rows generated, that's what we call spurious tuples. Spurious tuples are invalid rows that are spurious tuples are invalid rows. Okay, invalid rows that are created, that are generated when joining any relation. When joining any relation. And what do you think is the reason for creation of spurious tuples? Well, decomposition is not done properly. Okay, due to improper decomposition. If you do the decomposition properly, okay, if you do the decomposition properly, there won't be any spurious tuples. There won't be any spurious tuples. Okay, so if you don't decompose properly, if you don't do normalization, well, then we will be left with spurious tuples in our hands. Okay, so well, this is the definition for spurious tuples. And what is the property of this spurious tuple? It is not part of original data. It is not part of original data. It is not part of original data. Okay, this is not part of original data. So this result in improper relations. Result in improper relations. What do I mean by this? Improper result relations. Okay, resulting relation will be improper. Okay, so spurious tupleால என்ன நடக்க போகுது? What happens due to spurious tuples? Well, there will be inaccurate data, also misleading data, inaccurate, misleading results in queries. So these are what we call spurious tuples. So there is a relation R, you break that into small pieces and then decompose into small relations, and if you join them back to become a whole relation, and if it is not equals to the initial relation, well, now we can say the tuples generated newly are called spurious tuples. and spurious tuples are dangerous. Now, this brings us to the fourth guideline, lossless condition, satisfying lossless condition. Okay, so what is the principle? Okay, what is the principle? Well, the principle is design relational schema, design relational schema such that it obeys lossless join condition. This is the principle of guideline 4. And what is lossless join condition? Okay, what is lossless join condition? Lossless join condition is no spurious tuples generated. No spurious tuples generated during natural join of relations. Okay, so this ensures there are no extra or redundant tuples. That's all. That's the principle. Okay, this is the principle. Okay, so relations here. The relations means decomposed relations. Keep that in mind. Okay, because ஏதாவது ஃப்ரெஷ்ஷான ரெண்டு if you have freshly created relations and if you do natural join on them, well, they are going to result in newly generated tuples. Okay, there will be newly generated tuples. Okay, so that's not the case here. If you have R and if you break that down into, let's say, R1 and R2, and if you perform R1 natural join R2, and if it is not equals to R, well, then there are spurious tuples, which means this decomposition, this decomposition has not followed the guideline 4, which is obeying lossless join condition. Okay, so this is the principle. So if there are no spurious tuples, if there are no spurious tuples, the resulting relation, okay, the resulting relation reflects original, reflects original data set. Okay, this reflects the original data set. So following the following the guideline 4, what are our expectations? The expectations we try to reach are accuracy, data integrity, and obviously reduced redundancy. Reduced redundancy. These are the important parts that you should keep in mind. Okay. So, how can we do this? Yeah, we have now come to the last part of every guideline. We had a proper structure. We see what the guideline is. We understand what the principle is and what are our expectations. And finally, we come to the question, how can we do it? Okay. Well, first of all, we have to use the primary keys and foreign keys. Okay. Primary keys and foreign keys in joining, when joining, when joining. Okay. So if you have doubts in natural join, please check the natural join video. Okay. Please check the natural join video. Okay. So we know in natural join, when we are natural joining, there will be a projection. Okay. There will be a projection inside this specific, there will be a projection in natural join. Okay. So this projection columns, we should be using primary keys and foreign keys. Keep that in mind. Second one, we have to use normalization, which means proper decomposition. Third one, we can say that we have to ensure, we can verify lossless join property. How can you verify lossless join property? Well, you perform natural join and check. You will perform natural join between the decomposed relations and check with the initial original relation given, so that if it matches, well, you have done proper work. If you haven't, well, good luck doing it again. Okay, so these are the 4 guidelines that we normally use to understand the informal guidelines in relational schema, design relational schema. So what can we do here? Well, I will just explain it to you with an example. Okay, how spurious tuples are formed. I'll explain it to you with the example. Yeah, here, see, there is a relation that's like this. Okay, there is a relation that's like this. This is actually a bad schema. We can see that. Okay, why? We know the rating is dependent on hourly wages. Hourly wages. Okay, it depends on hourly wages. So there are 2 entities here. One is about rating and hourly wages, and also about employee entity. Okay, so we can decompose this into 2 specific ones. Let's say first of all SSN, name, lot, rating, and hours worked in one relation, and we can put rating and hourly wages on another relation, and this will be fine. Okay, this will be fine. Also, we can have another table relation. Maybe there is another relation that's called lot and their name, lot name. Who knows? That we don't know, but it's fine. If we decompose like this, that makes sense, and the natural join will also result in only these 2 rows. But what if someone divide like this, these 3 into 1 and these 3 into 1? Well, there will be issues. That's improper decomposition. That's why we need to study about normalization to understand how to properly break break a relation into smaller relations. Okay, so I hope you understand. Okay, so in the next video we will be focusing on dependencies. Before we go into normalization, we will be focusing on dependencies. Once we have laid out the dependencies knowledge, well, we can dive right into normalization.
Thank you for watching this deep dive into Informal Design Guideline 4 for Relational Schema. If this video helped clarify spurious tuples and schema design principle, give it a like and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more lessons in this series. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, keep learning and stay curious. Bye-bye.